So I want to start by just asking for a show of hands. How many people have seen The Greatest Showman? All right, it's not huge. It's looking like about 20% of the audience. So it's a terrific movie. It's a musical, actually, and it chronicles the history of P.T. Barnum, the inventor of the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and it's just got all these great messages and kind of feel-good story. So every morning, I wake up on my phone alarm to the theme song from this movie. Now, since not that many of you have seen it, I'm going to give you a little demo. It goes something like this. Whoa! Doom! Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Whoa! Doom! Now, you can see why that wakes me up, and hopefully it wakes you up as well. But this morning, when I woke up to that song, I was thinking about something else. I was thinking about customer experience. Now, to be fair, I think about customer experience more than most people do. But bear with me for a second. Why was I thinking about customer experience in The Greatest Showman? Because after this movie became popular, theaters started doing something really, really interesting. They started offering a sing-along version of the movie. So they invited people back who had already seen this musical, and they said, come on back, and this time, instead of having to sit and be quiet like you're supposed to in a theater and pay attention, we want you to sing along. Whoa! And my 10-year-old daughter did this and had an unbelievable experience. So think about this. First of all, they got people to come back and see a movie and pay for the movie twice. Second, they created this immersive experience that made everything so much more memorable than just going to a theater. And my hope for you today is that I'm able to show you how to do this with your business, how to create memorable experiences that get people talking about you, particularly in social media. Just like you're going to talk about that crazy keynoter that you heard that got up and sang in front of the audience. You see, it used to be that what happened on an airplane stayed on an airplane, right? We all got into the plane, we sat down, we put on our headphones, and we minded our own business. Then what happened? A guy got dragged off a plane. And we realized at that moment that because of these devices, there's no such thing as an offline experience anymore. Even if we think we're offline, the possibility of the experience coming online is always present. And so we, as customer experience professionals, have to be aware of that, have to be aware of every single point of that journey that could be photographed or videoed and brought online. This is often what the going viral strategy looks like in a marketing department. You often hear executives come to the marketing department and say, hey, can you guys create a viral video? And we all know that that's not how it works, right? The more you try to create a viral video, the more you're going to fail. But what does go viral? Experiences, great experiences, terrible experiences. I suggest a better way. The better way is to focus on your customer. Your customer is going to tell you everything about your business that you need to know, just as Maria just described with IKEA. And this is going to help you figure out how to design your experience so that people are sharing the most remarkable parts of your experience online. So I've created in my book a very simple equation, and I know you were told there would be no math. Don't worry, this is not complicated. But this is an equation that explains what gets shared on social media. And it is that a customer's experience expectation plus their emotion equals their willingness to share. So how does this work? Well, when companies exceed expectations, we make our customers happy. And people are very willing to share positive experiences on social media. Do you know why? Because there aren't that many. It's still rare that we have a remarkable positive experience with a company, something that's worth talking about. That's what remarkable means, right? Worthy of comment, worthy of our share on our Facebook post or Twitter. Now, when we meet expectations, we don't really create any emotion at all, or as my millennial friends would say, meh. And nobody wants to share meh. Nobody shares an okay experience or a just good experience. Of course, the problem is when we disappoint our customers by missing their expectations, we make them sad or worse, angry, and unfortunately their propensity to share is very high. So what we're going to talk about today is how do we increase the number of those positive experiences that get shared so that, as we used to say at McDonald's, we have the lovers be louder than the haters. You're never going to get rid of all the haters. They're going to be there. But you can put a lot of lovers out there in social media talking about your brand in a positive way that make those haters a little bit quieter. I'm going to start with what I call signs of the times. So I am one of those people that always has his device out taking pictures of everything, of every experience that I have. In fact, 99% of the photos you're going to see in this presentation all came from my camera, okay? Because I love paying attention to this. And I love signs more than anything. Why? Because the signs that retailers and restaurants and other and public utilities place around their business say so much about what it's like to do business with them. Words matter, in other words. Look at this sign above a retailer in Manhattan. Now, what do you know about this retailer without me even telling you what kind of retailer it is? We probably know they're honest. We probably know they have a sense of humor. And we probably know that they're reasonably low priced, right? I saw this sign and I was like, I gotta go. I don't care what he's selling. I gotta go find out because this guy got my attention. Turns out he's a shoe retailer. Here's another one outside of a restaurant. This is a fast food restaurant. Quality service that doesn't cut corners is our recipe. I love this sign. This sets expectations, right? That not only are you going to get good food, but you're going to get great service to go along with it. Anybody know which restaurant this is? It's Wendy's. Compare that to a sign that is the very first thing you see when you walk into a different fast food restaurant in Manhattan. Now, this doesn't feel quite as welcoming to me. My first thought was, they got it wrong. It's not we can't provide courtesy cups, it's we won't, clearly, right? I mean, they are able to provide courtesy cups, they've just decided not to. But where my mind went was, why can't they provide courtesy cups? Well, they're probably trying to save a couple of pennies, right? Well, where else are they trying to save pennies? I mean, maybe those tomatoes have been sitting in the refrigerator a few too many days. Or maybe that bread is a day old. Or maybe the employees haven't washed their hands because there's no soap in the bathroom. You start to go down this path that doesn't make the meal particularly appetizing, all because of a sign that really doesn't need to be there. Now, this doesn't happen at just one place. This is actually one from my former employer that was in a number of McDonald's around the world. Where did I find this one, by the way? On social media. Using words like illegal and warning and shoplifting and prosecuted about a soda, the single most profitable part of their business. This is not necessary. And in case you don't believe me, look what happens when you put signs like this up. People come to social media and they hate on you. This is not surprising. This is pretty predictable. How about this one at a gas station right near my house? Now, I love this one because my first thought was, well, if there's only one cashier on duty, I'm screwed, even though I need help, right? Not that it's my problem that there's only one cashier on duty. But then, and I have a little bit of a strange sense of humor, I started to wonder what would happen if there were 3 cashiers on duty. Would I get any service at that point? Again, this is a sign that probably was put up for a decent reason. I'll bet if I talked to the manager of the gas station, he would have said, well, this is a security issue. I can't have my one employee leave the cash register empty or alone, right? Okay, but tell me why that's my problem as a customer. It isn't. So if I need assistance and there's only one cashier on duty, what am I doing? I'm going across the street to the next gas station, right? You've lost a customer because of this, which is clearly not necessary. This is a different gas station down the street from my house. I think I like this one a little bit better. This is a sign right outside of an office building in Chicago. And I love this because with just 2 words, this sign turned from basically a normal, unremarkable instructional sign to one that's got some friendliness and some personality, simply by saying almost there, ... This isn't hard. It didn't take that person much time or effort to put a few more letters onto this sign to make it friendly. This is also from Chicago. You might possibly guess that I live in Chicago. This is an Italian restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant called Osteria Via Stato, and the restaurant is separated into 2 parts. There's a pizza side and there's a pasta side. And patrons can decide which side they want to sit on. And this is actually a very busy set of doors that both customers and waiters and staff are going through. So imagine people holding trays of food. You've got busboys, you've got customers going between the 2 sides of the restaurant. And the thing that was so remarkable to me as I was sitting in this restaurant is not a single time did anybody crash into one another. Now, think about most doors that you see, certainly in the US, I believe in the UK as well. What words do they say? Push and pull. Both 4-letter words, both start with PU, and words that people confuse all the time. Because you're doing this, and then you see, oh, it's supposed to be push. So what did this restaurant do to make sure that not a single person in this crowded restaurant bumped into one another? They did the simplest thing possible. I thought this was absolutely amazing. Right? All they had to do was change push and pull to yes and no, and nobody crashes into one another. This is about doing simple better. And doing simple better is one of the best ways to create remarkable experiences for your customers. Okay, now we're going to talk about some other experiences that don't involve signs. And Experience This, by the way, is a subtle plug for my podcast where we talk about experiences like this all the time. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm actually going to start, with apologies to Maria, with an experience from IKEA, but it's a good one. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm coming back to IKEA. Excuse me. I'm going to actually start with an audio experience. So, has anybody ever been the first person onto a conference call? Have you ever had to sit and wait, right? Okay, and usually you're listening to either some terrible recorded music or sometimes silence or sometimes something that's beeping. Either way, it's generally annoying. Now imagine if you were the first person to a conference call and instead you heard this.
Well, I've been sitting here all day, I've been sitting in this waiting room, and I've been waiting on my friends, yes, I'm waiting on this conference call, all alone, and I'm on hold, well, yes, I'm on hold, I hope it's not all day.
All right, thank you. Now, obviously, you should go onto YouTube, by the way, and hear the rest of this song. It is absolutely incredible. I had the strangest experience when I got onto this conference call. I did not want the other party to come onto the call because I wanted to hear the rest of the song. Now, one of the things we talk about on our podcast is something called making the required remarkable, right? You are required to do something on hold, but might as well have something that's remarkable. Right? And to create an experience out of something that either was boring or was no experience at all. IKEA did this with an advertisement for a crib. Now, you might not be able to read the whole advertisement, but I'll explain it to you. At the bottom of this ad is a strip that is actually made with the same technology as an at-home pregnancy test. The idea, you see, is that you are supposed to pee on the ad. And if you are pregnant, the strip will reveal a coupon for half off of the crib. I think that's pretty cool. Now, think about this. IKEA made an experience out of a paper advertisement. When's the last time that you actually did something experiential with a paper advertisement? I think this is an awesome example. Now, I have to warn you, this is not the last reference to peeing in my presentation. Because we're going to go here. This is an actual urinal taken with my camera in San Diego, California. And I'm going to leave this up to your imagination, but basically, all you need to know is that that soccer ball is hanging by a string and it moves. Now, I ask you, if somebody can create an experience out of a urinal, can't you create an experience out of your business, no matter what business you're in? And one last reference to peeing, it works overseas as well. This was a sign that didn't have to be fun and humorous, but somebody decided to make it so. Experience happens everywhere. And arguably, peeing would be the most offline experience you can come up with, and yet, all of these examples come online. This is an example from my book. It's at a hotel that I stay at many times. And so I noticed one day when they had changed the sink faucets in the bathroom. I noticed it simply because I'm there quite often, and I noticed that they were nice new sink faucets. The problem was the next morning when I went to iron my shirt, I could not fit the iron underneath the faucet. Now, this seems strange to me because how many possible use cases are there for a hotel sink? We brush our teeth, we wash our face, maybe we have to wash an item of clothing if we need to, and we use the iron, maybe we fill the coffee maker. It's not like I was trying to make macaroni and cheese in the sink, right? This was not an unexpected use case. And yet the person who's in charge of the irons at this hotel and the person who's in charge of the faucets at this hotel are clearly not the same person, and they weren't talking to each other. And we hear about silos all the time and how silos can kill the customer experience. But this is a terrific example. Now, I've had some smarty pants in audiences before say, well, why don't you just take the cup and fill it with water and fill the iron? Actually, I was using my hand, which was a lot more difficult. It's because I wasn't that smart. And at the moment, I needed just to iron my shirt. I was in a hurry, and this was a hassle. Compare this to a different hotel, same chain incidentally, that installed a motion sensor, a motion-activated light underneath the night table, so that when you wake up in the middle of the night and you step down onto the floor, it lights your path. Brilliant. This is probably a 50-cent addition to the bottom of this nightstand. And yet, what was so amazing about this was that somebody at this hotel chain had to literally get into the customer's shoes, perhaps slippers, to understand that this was an issue, to understand that waking up in the middle of the night and fumbling around in a strange room that always seems to be darker than your room at home, and people are possibly banging into the bed, and maybe it's a safety issue, but this was such an elegant and easy solution that to me was remarkable. Here's an example of a US retailer that didn't notice that there was a spelling error on their product, right on the shelf. Actually, it was a punctuation error, if we're being specific. This is sloppy, right? Well, here's another example of a UK retailer that did notice that they made a mistake, and they turned it into a viral marketing opportunity. Look how many retweets and likes that post got. More than the number of bags they printed. Incredible, right? So you can even take a mistake and turn it into an experience that people talk about. I think probably the best example of this of all is the Share a Coke promotion, right? You put people's names on bottles, and what do you see when you walk into a convenience store? You see people digging through, finding their name or their friend's name or their spouse's name or whatever it is. And then, of course, the whole promotion is set up to share, right? Now, they've recently added even these little stickers so you can peel them off and you can give them to the person, which I think is also really clever. But this is pretty simple. I mean, actually, this one's a little more complex to probably execute from a production standpoint, but just putting people's names on things, that kind of a personalization gets them to want to share. Okay, When a customer experience guy is walking down the street and sees something called robotic coffee bar, he has to stop. I mean, I hadn't seen this before, but I was like, all right, I got to check this out. So I walk in, and on the left, you see these kiosks. There's nobody in this store. It's manned completely by a computer. You see these kiosks, and you order your coffee, and the kiosk is very self-explanatory. It's a touch screen, you pay, and then this robot over in the corner there makes your coffee. So the way it works is you put in your order, and they give you a code, and they text you the code when your coffee's ready, which in this case, because I was the only one there, was literally seconds later. So here's me entering in the code, and I want you to see what happens. Little coffee elevator coming here. And the coffee was delicious, by the way. Now, I would argue that this entire experience is built for sharing. The whole idea is they know people are going to come in and take videos and take pictures of this. And that's how they're growing their brand. Now, it's a brand new company based in San Francisco. They only have a handful of locations right now. But this is an example of doing something completely different and remarkable. Okay, now we're going to shift for a moment to what happens when people do start talking about you on social media. Okay? Now, we know you all have the right technology to handle this because you're working with Clarabridge. But let's talk a little bit about some strategy. First, I want to give you a couple of examples. The first comes from Discover Card, which is a US credit card, my former employer, that I absolutely love. Rob tweets at us, haven't checked my mail in a few days, and there are 3 offers for the Discover It card: persistence or lack of coordination. Now, we taught our agents, when reasonable, to sort of mimic back the tone of the customer back to the customer. And this guy was a little bit snarky, so our agent, I think, was perfect. She had a tiny bit of a snarky answer. Wow, we must really want you, we must be really excited to have you apply. But then she gets right into the answer, which is to DM us with your name and address. We'll take you off the list. Rob writes back, Discover, kudos for the prompt response time. Okay, I'll bite, mostly because of your response, Amy. Hashtag great service. In 13 minutes flat, Discover took somebody who was a detractor and turned them into their newest customer. This happens every single day. Now, I've been showing this example for probably 4 years. It occurred to me a couple of months ago that I didn't actually know whether Rob became a Discover customer. I was like, man, I've been telling this story. It's a great story, but what if he didn't actually do it? So I went back to his original tweet and I responded with my own handle. And I said, hey, Rob, I'm just curious. Did you ever get that Discover card? In 5 minutes, Rob tweeted me back and said, still a happy customer. 4+ years of a customer that Discover attained simply because they were willing to talk to somebody who was having a problem with them. Anybody watch This Is Us? It's an American show. I don't know if it's made it overseas yet. It's a family drama, and it talks about, it kind of jumps through time in the past and the future, and you get to know all of these characters, and they're beloved, and it makes you cry every week, and it's great television. So this is a pretty important scene in which the main character has a little bit of an incident with a crock pot, which is in the back there. The crock pot actually catches fire, and the whole house burns down. Now, at the time, Crockpot had no idea this scene was going to happen, and in fact, did not even have a Twitter handle. Suffice it to say, they had to get a Twitter handle pretty fast because tweets like this started coming out. Thanks to This Is Us for crushing my soul week after week. Additionally, I'll no longer be making crockpot chili after last night's episode. Crockpot, in one of the best responses I've ever seen from a brand new to Twitter company, says, we're heartbroken over last night's episode too, Kayla. We're innocent until proven guilty. Since the 70s, we've been providing families with quality and safe products. Here's my favorite part. Ask your parents if you don't believe us. DM us with any questions. We'd be happy to tell you more about our safety standards. Any guesses on what Kayla does next? How about this? I apologize for what I said when I was in an emotional state. I could never live without my beloved crockpot. Okay, now this doesn't happen if crockpot is not there and listening in social media and responding and not being afraid to respond, right? And by the way, they had to handle thousands of these all at once because, again, they didn't know this scene was coming, and there were many fans that were heartbroken and threatening to protest and throw away their crockpots and all this stuff. But this works. Engaging with your customers in the channel that they want to engage with works, and it makes them more loyal to your company. Even Elon Musk did it. On a Friday night, within an hour, some guy named Bobby Gupta gets a direct response back from Elon Musk of Tesla. Now again, I say to you, if Elon Musk can respond to his customers individually as the head of Tesla, can you do that for your business? Don't you think you should do that for your business? Okay, I'm going to give you 7 things. Now that you've sort of seen the power of this, I'm going to give you 7 things that you should take back to your company and start doing tomorrow. And they're easy. The first is be available to your customers. People always ask me, well, what social channel should I be in? And I always give them the same answer. Where are your customers? Do you have to be in Snapchat? Not if your customers aren't there. Do you have to be on Instagram or Pinterest? Not if your customers aren't there. You probably have to be in Facebook and Twitter. But the other question that I get is, do I have to be there 24 hours a day? And my answer to you is, and I'm going to call them out because I know the answer is yes for these guys. If you're Lufthansa, who spoke this morning, yes, you have to be 24/7. Why? Because you're flying 24/7. Because your customers need you. If you are a corner bakery that's only open 8 hours during the day, you don't need to be on social media 24/7. But what you should do is set customer expectations. Both Facebook and Twitter allow you in your profile to say what hours you're available. And if you tell people the hours you're available, then they don't expect you to be available outside those hours. You manage those expectations, go back to the smiley faces, right? What we don't want to do is disappoint. We don't want to miss expectations. We don't want to look like we're open 24/7 and then make people wait hours and hours for a response. The second is don't be afraid of complaints. Complaints are often your best source of information for what's working and what's not working about your product, your service, and your experience. If you're afraid of complaints, then you're basically shutting your eyes to what is causing pain to your customers. And we don't want to ever intentionally cause pain to our customers, right? In fact, we want to eliminate those pain points. The amazing thing is that customers are telling you every day what's annoying them. The third is respond to everyone. So let's go back to our smiley faces. One of the things that companies often forget is the people that are complimenting you are taking time out of their day to give you a gift. Now, if you talk to any marketer, and especially those that are being asked by the CEO to create viral videos, what are they looking for? They're looking for that elusive word-of-mouth marketing. But when people compliment your company, that is word-of-mouth marketing. That is what they've been looking for. But so many brands ignore compliments. Why would you do that? If somebody said to me after my speech, hey, that was a great presentation, and I just walked away, that wouldn't be really nice of me, would it? But that's what brands are doing every day. Now, the people that post that don't really have a positive or negative sentiment are usually looking for information. They're asking you a question, or they don't understand something, they're looking for clarification. So give them an answer. Right? That is why they've come to this channel. And finally, the people that are upset are generally looking for some empathy, and they're looking for a resolution. Now, I put a little asterisk here, and I say that we do have a fourth category, which we lovingly call trolls. And those people are not looking for a resolution. They're simply looking for attention, or to be annoying, or to swear at you, and you don't have to answer those people. But everybody else, you need to respond to. And of course, the word engage is up there 3 times because social media has 2 words. Don't forget social. That's the engagement part. That's what makes this channel different from any other marketing or customer service channel out there. Look for common questions and searches. When I talk about searches, I mean on Google and also on your own website. Because when people are asking you questions or they're searching for information, it means you're not doing a good enough job of communicating that information, right? So if somebody keeps asking, what are your international call rates? Why don't you put something on your website that answers that question and makes it easier for them to find? If people are asking you questions over and over again in social media, why don't you start asking a question back? Why are they asking this question so many times? And what can I do to reduce the incidence of those questions and therefore reduce my customer service expense? Speaking of that, fix what's wrong with the experience. Now, if you manage a frontline team in a contact center, those may not be the people who can fix the experience, but they absolutely should be the people who raise it to the people who can fix the experience, right? You have to know who in your organization can solve that app crashing so that you can stop answering questions about the app crashing and start answering questions from other customers that might be more pressing, right? So you've got to figure out a way to go back to the app team and say, hey, we got 77 people who have said this thing's crashing. Can you please fix it? Because we need to put our customer service agents on something else. Identifying new products is a really, really interesting thing that you can do. And I want to give you 3 examples. The first is OtterBox. OtterBox creates cell phone cases. And OtterBox, just through customer listening on social, found that a number of their customers were taking their phones into the shower to listen to music. See, here we are back in the bathroom again. I didn't mean to do that. Well, that isn't a real good idea unless you have a waterproof case, which OtterBox did not have until they took this customer listening to their R&D team and created their first waterproof case, which turned out to be one of their best sellers. Similarly, a women's online clothing company called ModCloth noticed that their customers had a strange affection for the actor Jeff Goldblum of Jurassic Park fame. They ended up creating a shirt, which, I gotta be honest, I don't know who buys this shirt, but according to ModCloth, it is one of their best sellers on the site. They learned this from listening in social media. And perhaps my favorite example is from a Canadian company called Vega. Vega has a very niche target. They target vegan high-performance athletes, so marathon runners, etc. And they have a plant-based protein powder that they sell. The problem with this protein powder is that about half their customers love it and half their customers think the taste is terrible. So what did they do, especially for a customer base that doesn't have many other places to turn? They created a line of smoothies and smoothie recipes that specifically cover up the taste of their own product. And they now have got a whole bunch of their customers that don't like the taste of their product that are using it every single day in these smoothie recipes. All because they listened on social, they weren't afraid of the complaints, they had a connection back to their product team and probably their marketing team, and they created something remarkable. And finally, in today's day and age, marketing and customer service have got to operate as a single team. This is absolutely critical. And I've been a marketer for my career, even though I have a passion for customer experience, especially with social media marketing. When we do paid advertising in social, what are we doing? We are getting into people's Facebook and Twitter feeds. We are interrupting the stories that they're reading to put an ad in front of them. Now, sometimes that works really well, and we get their attention and they respond. What marketers were hoping for in social media is that when customers responded, they responded to the ad. Oh, what a cool product you have, or oh, I love you, company. But what they found really quickly was that that ad also served as a trigger. Man, I've been meaning to call that company. They overcharged me on my credit card. Or, you know, I got this letter in the mail that I didn't understand. Some completely irrelevant to the marketing piece complaint now is a response to that marketing. Because why? Because we alerted them. We woke them up because we got into their feed. If you go and spend money on social paid media and you don't tell your customer service agents, their volume's going to go up and they're not going to be prepared for it. And then the customer experience is going to go down. So the two teams have to work together. Similarly, as I was showing before, the customer experience team, it goes both ways, right? Customer service has to tell marketing what's working and what's not with the marketing, right? By the way, we've had a lot of complaints about our TV ad. People think it's fill in the blank, racist, unfunny, insulting, whatever. This is information that customer service has to hand back to the marketing team. When these two teams are working in tandem is when remarkable customer experiences can be created, shared, and then responded to. Thank you very much.